People's Radio United.
I think that's what's funny about Trump. He's not smart. The people around him are smart. Jeff Sessions is smart.
I don't know
Mike
about
Pence?
that.
Well, maybe in a forensic psychiatry sort of way, yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, in order to continue this racist nonsense, you have to be pretty cunning to serve it out to the masses, especially at least your base, your racist base, because you have to update everything. Oh, black president now. Women ran for president. So there is a level of skill you have to continue this stuff.
Well, okay, this is what I'm going to present as against that specifically. You look at something like the Bolshevik Revolution. That was led by Lenin, who was considered to be, the smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
That was an intellectual revolution. But then Stalin came in and turned it into a physical imposement. And I think that with going back, you can go back to Lyndon Johnson and go through every administration forward. All the tools were being put in place for some sort of massive rise in the amount of oppression on everybody. And I think that Trump is like the Stalin. He's the one who's finally going to flip all these levers.
Well, I think there's a key difference when you talk about Stalin versus American leaders. Although this place is not a democracy, it's not a full-blown dictatorship.
No, but...
Right, it's what I was saying earlier.
The legislation that still has to be passed versus I'm just going to go on radio and say, all right, if you do any of this, you're dead. I'm going to starve millions of people. And it's a little different.
Like Duterte has done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Philippines.
Well, I mean, what I want to say to that is from Lenin to Stalin, the Soviet Union wasn't like that either. It was Stalin who started the NKVD. It was Stalin who had to cleanse the entire country of people who opposed him.
Right.
Lenin didn't do that, So what I'm saying is that's where I see Trump as the Stalin. He's the one who's going to say, well, you know what? Fuck all these people who are opposed to me. I can deal with them. And that, of course, is a definite loss of any sense of democracy then.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain percentage, we said it before, of his base that say if he wanted to eliminate the elections in 2018 and just remain president, that would be fine with them.
Holy Christ.
That's when then you have a serious correlation.
Yeah. And those are the same people who will turn around in the same breath, and talk about how patriotic they are and how they love our democracy. And, fuck, dude. That crowd, good God.
Yeah, let me give you some facts, you guys. Americans are superior to everyone else, and Glenn knows this. He's jealous, and Top knows this, and he's jealous. Because 2,000 years ago, Jesus, when he was sewing the American flag, he said, God bless America. And we live by those words now.
Wasn't he cleaning his AK?
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have AKs back then. It was an M16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
praise Jesus.
Yep, and that's also why people in other countries shouldn't be expected to react to fucked up shit the same way we would. Because we're better than them.
Well, you had that happens every year, but you had a whole day yesterday honoring and remembering the victims of Pearl Harbor, which you should do. It was a horrible tragedy. It was an act of terrorism. Right. But so was Hiroshima and Nagasaki. to this day, America has never apologized for the largest act of terror in the history of the world.
We bombed one, and then we bombed the other just because we could. Like, we didn't need to, to get a surrender.
Didn't need to on either.
Yeah.
To get a surrender, maybe. I mean, the Japanese were putting up a good fight.
Eisenhower himself, who was a general in the army at the time in World War II for the United States, and then became president of the United States, he said himself, neither bomb needed to be dropped. The Japanese were going to quit. And then if you can add on to that, the Russians were going to invade Japan.
Yep.
And one major reason why those bombs were dropped was so Stalin didn't get more land and didn't become more powerful. And even though America was allies with the Russians in the war, they obviously had a little rivalry going on.
Yeah, I believe that was the big factor in the Japanese intent to surrender, because Russia declared war against all the Axis powers, and the war was over in Europe, so that machine was turning to the east, and Japan said, no, fuck that, we don't need that.